Hello friends, and let's get started.
The night was unusually quiet. Outside the windows, the suburban landscape of the Seattle suburbs lurked. The sparse lights in the windows of distant houses, the muffled rustle of the wind in the pine trees, the tired whistle of the wind under the roof. Alex woke up suddenly, as if from a jolt. His eyes opened in total darkness, and at first he did not even realize what had caused his awakening. His heart was beating a little faster than usual, but there was no sensation of nightmare or loud noise. Nothing that could immediately be called a reason to snap out of sleep. He lay on the wide bed in the bedroom on the second floor, blinking slowly, letting his eyes adjust to the darkness. The room was fresh. The air conditioner was on silent mode, trying to maintain a cozy temperature for a night's sleep. Somewhere behind the walls, the old parquet crackled occasionally. Alex shifted his gaze to the alarm clock at the head of the bed. The red numbers showed 2:14 a.m. Lana, his wife, was usually sound asleep by then. She'd never been a fan of going out at night. She could stay up late with her friends on the stream, yes, but still not this late at night. Right now, however, Alex was embarrassed to find himself sleeping alone. The other side of the bed, where Lana usually collapsed in the arms of his soft plaid, was empty. Both pillow and blanket seemed untouched. Where is she? He thought, quietly raising himself up on his elbow. A woman's muffled laughter suddenly reached his ears, as if from far away. It was not too loud, but for the silence of the night, it was quite audible. Some melodic sounds mixed with it, something like background music. Alex strained his hearing a little. Indeed, there was laughter coming from the corridor, muffled phrases, and, strangely enough, short beeps, like pop-up notifications or message alerts. What the hell? He thought, getting out of bed. Lana liked to host live streams on Twitch, but it was mostly games, chit-chat with subscribers, and sometimes their occasional evening stream together discussing movies. But all of that tended to happen in the afternoon or early evening. Night, and especially the time after 2 o'clock, was a sacred time of rest for her. Alex remembered how she herself complained of fatigue if she sat at the computer too late. He got up, put on a loose t-shirt he grabbed from the chair, and moved quietly to the bedroom door. It took him a while to take the first few steps, wondering if he was dreaming. But the laughter came again, and his doubts dissipated. Quietly opening the door, Alex looked out into the dark corridor. He did not need the bright light to determine his direction. The sounds came clearly from downstairs, from the office, where Lana sometimes sat for long hours at the computer. With each step downstairs, he listened to her voice. It seemed unusually elevated, playful, even, maybe, a little excited. A slight intertwined with the sounds of music and repeated notifications that someone was probably donating or subscribing to the channel. I walked through the living room, glimpsing through the wide doorway, but it was dark and empty. The office, on the other hand, was ajar and lit by the reflected light from the monitor. Is she in there? Alex decided and moved on tiptoe. He was surprised to note that he was treading carefully, as if he was afraid of being caught. But why would he be afraid? It was his own house, his wife. He had every right to ask what was going on. Yet the sense of unease rising from within made him act surreptitiously. He caught an obsession, as if something was wrong here, something wrong, something that might hurt him more than any terrible dream. Tilting his head, he peered behind the ajar door to the office, expecting to see Lana there at her computer. But there was no one inside, just the laptop on, the rippling light of the desk lamp, and the quiet flicker of the camera. Her blouse lay in the chair, and on the desk, next to the keyboard, was a cup of leftover coffee. Undeniably, Lana had been here recently, but it was empty now. And the voice still sounded, except that it did not seem to be coming from the room, but from the laptop speakers themselves. Alex stopped, staring at the screen, which was showing some live broadcast on Twitch. He immediately realized that it was Lana's stream, because there was her logo in the corner, and the camera appeared to be filming another room, the guest bedroom. Inside the frame, the outline of a bed flashed, some pillows were visible, backlighting the diffused light of colored garlands. The sound from the speakers carried her purring voice. Alex caught a special note of playfulness that she did not usually use on the daytime airwaves. Everything was drenched in blatant flirtation, and the loud notifications of donuts were still mixed in with it. Maybe she has decided to do a nightly stream? Alex's mind raced. Weird, but okay. Maybe it was an experiment. However, his gut told him something more serious was going on here. He walked slowly over to the laptop and saw the name of the broadcast. The title of the stream was typed in large text, "While Husband Sleeps." In an instant, Alex felt a chill go through him. It sounded ambiguous, lewd, and very dangerous. It was as if the inscription hinted that she was doing something secret, something he must not find out about. Alex's heart clenched, and a hot wave of indignation rose in his chest. But in spite of his inner turmoil, he acted with extreme caution. Instead of rushing in, he leaned toward the screen and turned up the sound. Lana's quiet chuckles, accompanied by the electronic beeping of donuts, sprinkled in his ears. "Oh, thanks for the donate, sunshine," she said in a languid voice. Something about her intonation was completely unfamiliar and gave Alex a pang of jealousy. She was clearly not just communicating with the audience, but flirting, provoking, making him imagine something intimate. He inhaled deeply, trying to quiet the sudden burst of rage. The screen showed the stream was in IRL mode, not a game broadcast, but a format for communicating with subscribers. The camera lens was turned so that the viewers could see Lana in her entirety. She was standing in the middle of a makeshift mini studio in their guest bedroom, where small lamps burned, throwing soft purple and pinkish light across the walls. She was in lacy lingerie, a short, thin strapless top, and tiny shorts, if you could even call them shorts. Her long hair fell over her shoulders, and her lips glistened as if she'd recently put gloss on them. He could hear her phrasing, "Guys, how do you like my night look? I just thought you'd like to see the real me, while my husband is in the other room. He's asleep, and we have time to have fun." Then a brief pause, and Alex caught a new notification sound. The chat flashed messages, among which a variety of offers were visible. He quickly read through. "Awesome stream. Let's get even closer to the camera. What a soft voice you have. Turn the music up, baby. I wish I could be that husband to catch you like this." Alex felt a chill run between his shoulder blades. His wife flirting in front of dozens, maybe hundreds of spectators, as if she was not married at all. Allowing other men, and who knows, maybe not just men, to fantasize about her in the semi-nude while he's around, unaware. For a moment the thought flashed through his mind. Maybe it's just a game? Maybe she's conducting some kind of experiment for the sake of hype and traffic? But no, Lana's intonations were too frank. Just then Alex noticed another chat window with paid messages. Suddenly he heard a donation with a dirty-looking signature. "He would not even know if we keep it down, baby." Hearing that, Alex felt adrenaline crashing into his bloodstream. His jaw clenched. He abruptly hooked his fingers into the edge of the table. How could she allow such comments from all sorts of strangers? And worse, judging by her reaction, she not only allowed them, but encouraged them. It seemed like a betrayal, to say the least. A quiet dance tune was playing around. The atmosphere was intimate, and Lana, without embarrassment, was responding to the onlookers. "Boys, Noah, keep it down. My husband is in the next room, but I hope he's sound asleep. I know how to lull." She giggled, and someone in the chat room sent her hearts. Alex closed his eyes for a second, as if trying not to explode with anger. Everything clenched in his chest. But then a new sound caught his attention, as if there was a clinking of glasses somewhere very close by, accompanied by a man's soft laugh. It was no longer coming from the computer speakers, but as if from above. As if someone was clinking glasses of wine, and was in this house besides the two of them. Alex instantly oriented himself. He hit the pause button on the streamer, not wanting to listen to this shame any further. His heart was pounding so loudly it echoed in his temples. Someone had shown up at their house, and apparently with Lana. The thought of it hit harder than anything he'd seen on the screen. Without another word, without a single shout, he walked out of the office, heading for the stairs with a firm step. Before we go any further down the line, it's important to note, Alex had already opened his laptop and saw the title of the broadcast, "While Husband Sleeps." He realized that Lana was now broadcasting from the guest bedroom at the other end of the second floor. At that moment, it was enough for him to see her sitting in her lacy lingerie and flirting with the audience. But the main thing that alarmed him even more was the clinking of glasses and male laughter. This meant that the stream was not just a virtual prank. From the sound of it, someone was physically in the room with her. Alex was a man of determination, always used to taking matters into his own hands. He tried not to let his emotions take over, but this time his inner resentment and anger overwhelmed him so much that his chest throbbed. Outwardly, however, he remained cool, even dangerous in his calm rage. When he reached the second floor, he no longer lurked. He walked confidently, though his footsteps remained quiet. There was a dim light on the guest bedroom door, and flickering shadows slid in the narrow strip between the door and the floor. Alex realized that something was clearly going on inside, either laughter or rustling of fabric or movement of furniture. All this set of school days of auditory sensations was adding up to a picture that gave him a sharp prick of jealousy. He experienced a second of regret. Why should he look? After all, it might be a blow. But manly pride and dignity ordered him to go ahead and see for himself. He reached for the doorknob, not even caring that he might catch his wife and her companion by surprise. As Alex walked, he could still hear periodic bursts of sound from the office, which he had not completely silenced. Apparently the stream was still going on, because the laptop in the office had automatic settings on it that kept the broadcast from stopping completely. He only hit pause for himself, but for the viewers, the broadcast continued, the camera in the guest room active. Lana read the new messages, among them some particularly provocative ones. Turn your back, light us up. Throw off your robe, show us everything. When the man finds out, it'll be too late, haha. Some of these inscriptions, at least the gist of them, reached Alex's ears already as wiped echoes. He was about to drown out the stream completely, but he realized that the main problem now was not virtual donations, but a real guest who seemed to be drinking with Lana in their house. With each passing second, his rage grew. Those inside had better hide or leave immediately, because the meeting promised to be nasty. Alex found himself at the door, behind which there were clearly voices. One of them was Lana's. Now he sounded muffled, but still with a note of coquetry. The other voice belonged to a man. He was obviously joking, laughing, sometimes lowering his tone, as if trying to keep his voice down. Judging by the warm glow, there was some additional light around the room, garlands or spotlights, which Lana often used to create the right entourage on the streamer. Without further ado, Alex pushed the door open. It was unlocked and immediately yielded. What he saw was even more blatant than he would have guessed. Lana was kneeling on the bed, amidst the pillows and spotlights, clad only in a light silk robe tied with a ribbon around her waist. But the ribbon was clearly on the verge of untying, and it was enough one awkward movement. Next to her was a man of slim build, with a noticeable tattoo on his chest, wearing only short athletic shorts and headphones. In his hand, he held a glass of wine. There was an open bottle on a nearby nightstand, and the multicolored lights of streaming equipment were still flashing nearby, a webcam, a backlight, a laptop apparently in sync with what was in the office. When the door swung open, Lana's face changed instantly. She turned around, and her gaze reflected shock mixed with panic. Alex. She exhaled, flinching so much that her robe nearly slid off her shoulder. It's not what you think. The man beside her recoiled, trying to get up. He had clearly been caught off guard. His face read confusion and fear. He had not expected to meet the husband of the woman who had introduced herself on the streamer as alone in the night. Bro, wait, let us talk. He suddenly blurted out, raising his hands as if trying to show he did not have a weapon. He tried to portray a peaceful gesture, but it looked pathetic. Alex did not answer him a word. He shifted his hard gaze from Lana to the half-naked guy, who seemed stuck between wanting to hide and trying to pretend that nothing was wrong. The guest bed was neatly made up with a bedspread that had pillows with vulgar writing scattered across it, probably props for streaming. Somewhere nearby lay a microphone with the light on. All this added a kind of grotesque quality to the picture, like a scene from a cheap late-night porn show. Silence reigned for a few moments. Alex stood on the threshold, clenching his fists. Lana frantically tried to adjust her robe, but her hands were shaking. She knew perfectly well that it was useless to lie. She had been caught, and in a shameful way. Alex was a rather tall and broad-shouldered man, strong-bodied. He had boxed in his student days. Now his rage was coming out in heavy breathing and clenched fists. But he did not yell, did not swear, did not throw tantrums. He was glaring at the skinny guy in such a way that he started to back away, stumbling over a pillow and nearly dropping his glass. "Bro, come on. It was content," mumbled the guy, trying to defend himself with words, obviously sensing that his position was extremely vulnerable. Lana was horrified. Alex's next action happened in a split second. Without further ado, he grabbed this lover by the pecs, literally grabbed him so that he dropped the glass to the floor and the wine spilled out, forming a scarlet stain on the carpet. The guy opened his eyes dazedly, and Alex pushed him out of the room with all his might, almost knocking over the lampstand. He swayed and tried to hold on to the railing of the corridor, but Alex dragged him to the landing as if he were dragging a sack. Lana shrieked, rushing after them. "Alex, do not. It is not what you think. I'll explain everything." But Alex did not even turn to her. He said in a cold voice to his lover, "You going barefoot. Do not come back here again." His sneakers were lying in the hallway, but Alex was too angry to give him shoes with understanding. The kid grabbed his t-shirt in a hurry, which he found near the stairs, and almost rolled down the stairs. In the end, Alex literally threw him out the door. The latch clicked, cutting off the way back. Walking back to the guest room, Alex heard Lana uttering confused sentences. "It was a mistake. I just wanted to get an audience. I thought it would remain a secret. God, I'm sorry, please." He looked at her, and there was no longer the same old love and affection in his eyes. He felt humiliated, insulted, betrayed in the most despicable way. Not only had she done it behind his back, but she had dragged him into public ridicule, made a fool of him in front of hundreds of spectators, made a circus out of their marriage. "You made a fool of me in front of hundreds of men," he said without raising his voice. But there was a steely hardness in every word. "Now you being made an ass out of by me." Lana recoiled in horror, trying to explain. "It was just content. I only love you anyway. It was hype. I did not want you to." But Alex held up his hand, letting her know to shut up. He was angry, but he considered himself mature enough not to stoop to manhandling or loud insults. He decided to act quickly and clearly. Alex entered the bedroom, switched on the common overhead light, from which all this pseudo-intimate atmosphere immediately lost its magic. It became obvious that there was no romance here at all, just a jumble of cheap props, lights, microphones. In the corner was the suitcase where Lana kept her streamer costumes. He silently opened that suitcase and started throwing her stuff in there. A couple of t-shirts, a robe, underwear, everything flew in a mess, indiscriminately. Lana stood nearby, pale, trembling, sometimes trying to move closer, but he gestured with his hand to tell her to stay away. Her eyes filled with tears. She repeated pitifully, "Alex, please, let us talk. I'll explain everything to you." "Well, it is not that." But he was not listening. He was gathering the essentials, and a decision was already sounding in his head. Their common life was ending here. Was it worth it for the sake of a couple million views, fans, or donation money, to humiliate him like this, to humiliate her marriage? It does not matter now. When the suitcase was stuffed to the top, Alex lifted it by the handle. Walked to the door, gesturing for Lana to follow him. She refused at first, then realized he was really determined. Their home was a hearth they'd set up together. But now there was apparently no room left in that house for her. They went downstairs. There, by the front door, Alex set the suitcase on the floor. He opened the front door, and the cold night air rushed into the house. The moon cast a silvery light on the path to the wicket, and somewhere in the distance a lone streetlight blinked. "You wanted to live for the likes?" Alex said deafeningly, turning to Lana. "Go ahead. Only I would not be on this broadcast again." She tried to step toward him, to grab his hand, but he pulled away. "Go away," he added in a quiet but firm voice. Lana sobbed, raising a pleading gaze. "Please give me a chance. This has all gotten out of control. I did not mean to. But Alex was already slamming the door shut, not even letting her finish. And in that loud bang of the door lock, everything was heard. Their quarrel, their pain, their breakup, their resentment, their insulted dignity. Lana's tears, her cries for mercy, her suitcase, and her whole life, which she had put on the line for the sake of the night's broadcast and other men's company, were left outside the door. A few hours passed, the night changing to early morning. When the first rays of the sun began to break through the tall Christmas trees and pines, Alex sat in the kitchen, brewing strong coffee in his favorite coffee maker. There was a strange silence in the house. For the first time in a long time, his life seemed truly empty, but at the same time he felt a strange lightness. As if some stupid and vicious part of his life, born of betrayal and hypocrisy, was behind him. He grabbed a cup of coffee and walked over to the desk where his laptop now stood. The screen showed the Twitch page where, not so long ago, the broadcast with the most humiliating title of his life, "While Husband Sleeps," was still running. Now the broadcast was over. The chat was silent, the video stream had stopped, and only a sign on the screen said, "End of live broadcast." There was something symbolic in it. Not only was the stream over, but Alex's marriage to Lana was over. The illusion of happiness under which she hid her own craving for hype, money, and male attention. He sighed, ran a hand through his hair, closed the tab, and stood up from the table. There was a growing realization in his soul that life was just beginning. Yes, he had to endure betrayal, to leave the woman he loved, but now he was not going to blame himself. He clearly understood that there were some things that could not be forgiven or explained away. Lana had crossed the line, and there was no going back. The first glimpses of sunny morning could be seen through the kitchen window. Dew glistened in the grass. Alex sipped his coffee, feeling a pleasant bitterness and warmth spreading through his body. It was heavy on his soul, but this heaviness was mixed with determination to go on. Life is just beginning. He repeated mentally, watching the rays of dawn touch the greenery outside the window. In that instant, he felt that he no longer needed to prove anything to anyone. He had done what he had to do, put his foot down, preserving his own pride and self-respect. Now, with all her things out the door, as well as herself, Alex could start a new chapter of his life. Things would be different from now on. The whole house breathed silence. It was strange to realize that just a few hours ago there was laughter, music, donuts, and now everything was silent. Alex took out his phone, looked at the clock. It was almost 7 in the morning. He scrolled through the notification feed, saw several missed calls from Lana. But he was not in a hurry to call back. Everything she needed to say, she'd already said during those few minutes of crying and pleading at the front door. Quietly setting his cup on the table, he realized that time had slipped irrevocably forward, and the old life was behind the night. Now it was dawning. New decisions and new paths. An expanse of opportunity opened up at his feet, without humiliation, without screaming, without that public shaming. Maybe one day he'll tell someone the story of how his wife decided to play on the webcam and got a reaction from the alpha. Or maybe not. He'd put it behind him and move on, building his own happiness without deception. In the meantime, he smiled slowly as he looked at the writing on the screen, "End of live affair," as if it was the finale of a long and useless show that should have ended long ago. And already silently speaking to himself, he exhaled, "Yes, the end of the ether, and the beginning of a new story." That was how it ended, concretely, unambiguously, and without a hint of a return to the past. And that's where today's story ends. Thank you for watching to the end. If you enjoyed it, do not forget to like and comment. We'd love to discuss this story with you. See you in the next video.